Grace and peace to you, our MCCA Youth brothers and sisters in Christ. It is a blessing to greet you once again on this MCCA Youth and Young Adults Lord's Day. We are privileged to have the continued support of the leadership of the Methodist Church in the Caribbean and the Americas to share in this annual worship encounter across the territories of our church. As we contemplate the state of affairs within our church community and the wider societies of the Caribbean and the Americas regions and the world as a whole, we observe signs of distress, barrenness of various sorts, brokenness, emptiness, and other ills. We are forced to contend with natural disasters in some of our territories, the instances of social unrest, like we witness in our beloved Haiti, rising crime and violence, and economic and various other woes each day. With all these challenges, spiritual frailty appears to be a feature in the lived experiences of our youth and our young adults. And in fact, within our church as a whole, even as many are disengaged, some as a consequence of the social ills, and others by virtue of the apparent general weakness in maintaining a stable Christian walk. Within the current climate, therefore, we are being urged to reflect upon and call out to God with a cry, Lord, restore and repurpose me. This, as each of us, considering the state of our own spiritual well-being, we recognize the voids, our sense of inadequacy, lack of interest in the mission of God through the church, our limited influence, the little or no succession planning we observe, and its potential risk on the sustainability of the Methodist movement, the lack of confidence in self and the church, our wavering commitment owing to professional and other personal obligations or pursuits, as it were, among many other difficult realities. Our theme for this year brings into sharp focus the encounters of our young people, who many of us see becoming detached from the community of faith, and the manifestation of various weaknesses in our congregations, circuits, and districts. We must cry out to God for restoration of the enthusiasm to be in communion with God and engaged in God's work in church and society. That God will help us in coming back to leading lifestyles that reflect our acceptance of the gift of salvation, liberty, and hope that's found in Christ alone. That our faith in God's power to do mighty things in our lives, well above that which we can even begin to imagine, will be restored. That our consciousness of the solid history and doctrinal standards established on biblical principles will be awakened within us as we are being restored, and that our willingness to labor in God's vineyard in this season be reignited so the essential harvesting of souls can be realized. Oh, how we long to be restored. God is working to restore us, and we are encouraged to rest in his power, peace, and grace, so we will be made strong, firm, and steadfast despite the challenges. As we consider that we were created by God with purpose, but are often conflicted by delays in achieving our goals, absence of adequate emotional and spiritual support, and even the onset of depression, living our best lives become challenging. However, when you become confused about your true sense of purpose and the trust in God wanes, we encourage you to call out to God, to be repurposed by Him. Let's listen to hear where God would have us go and how God would have us serve, even as we work to realize the fulfillment of our God-given potential in this generation and live out our true purpose. The MCCA Youth and the MCCA's Unified Strategic Direction. As the MCCA continues the implementation of the Unified Strategic Direction, USD, it is imperative that our youth and young adults be intentionally engaged by the leadership of the church, and that as we are engaged, we anticipate the restoration and repurposing by God. We therefore urge you to ask your ministers and lay leaders about the USD. As an executive council, we will, in short order, invite you to a forum where the connectional leaders will share further details on the USD with the MCCA youth community, answer our questions, and consider our recommendations, as this cohort of the church must be brought to a place where we too can embrace our role in this unified strategic direction. In conclusion, friends, we are mindful of the social issues, but we are not daunted. You should not be either. As we seek out new and renewed opportunities to serve the present age and to fulfill our calling as young people, let's endeavor to maintain close contact and personal relationship with God. Develop commitment to personal prayer and devotional times. Become diligent towards corporate worship and fellowship encounters, and curate consistency in our walk with God. May each of us make this personal petition to God. Lord, restore and repurpose me. As together we resolve to advance the work of God in the church and community by recommitting to being active agents of restoration and purpose fulfillment in our world, with confidence in God's assurance to us, as per the prophet Amos, that He will restore our fortunes and enable the rebuilding of the ruined cities and inhabit them. Amos 9:14a. May God's grace, mercy, and peace be with each one of us, even as God restores and repurposes us for His glory.